All right. Yes, 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 yes. All right, all right. Let me see. Peace, peace, and blessings, Sapo. Honorable One, the Success Scholar here. Hakish Kaur Amin. Thank you all for tuning in. The Success Scholar. I want to take this time to have this conversation really quick, really quick. Not going to be long, but I must be strong. So, wanted to really address some, add some points of clarity and, to ensure that we as a community are truly fine tuning uh, our scholastic empowerment models to ensure that our discussions and conversation matches our practical application. So I attempted to do this video like last week, 2 weeks ago, and I had some problems with my laptop and put it back took it to the repair place and got some more hard drive and everything. So everything is good with that. But this stems out of several conversations that I thought that some real on the ground clarity needed to take place, that I believe sincerely that I have some unique experience on the ground that could enhance the total development of our communities. What's going on? Peace, peace, peace. Bill Nugger Jones. I'm sorry, I can't. I see the Jones part. Bill something Jones. But so let me mention, folk in order. Dr. Claud Anderson. For those who may not know, he wrote several key books, and I think they are all valuable. Uh, the Black Labor White Wealth is a classic historic analysis about wealth and inequality in this society and how uh, systematically forces have been used to position uh, the African American community in America, as well as African people elsewhere, but certainly here in America, position Black people into a class of non competitive, non economically empowered, disenfranchised community. The laws, statutes, and regulations and policies that were put in place to ensure that our communities were disenfranchised. So, several conversations. He also wrote The Powernomics, and many people who know me that I've been an advocate of the Powernomics analysis over the past few years. I've even gotten my hands in on several copies, and I used to go places and actually try to market these books to different people. And he, of course, he has his newest one, the Black History Reader. So I heard Dr. Anderson, or there was a conversation rather recently on Carl Nelson show where Zaki Baruti, who is a brother out of St. Louis, an organizer, activist, political type of brother. Now, and I've listened to Zaki Baruti over the years, and he made some things about the Democratic Party, and this kind of made me think about Dr. Umar Johnson as well. Zaki Baruti, he theorizes that Black people need to, I would guess, operate within the Democratic Party. Now, I don't know how it is in St. Louis, but for instance, in Baltimore, the Democratic voter population votes Democrat 9-1. So, I do recognize that, that's a difficult habit to break. But, and Zaki Barudi also mentioned how it was difficult. I mean, not difficult, but there's a process in terms of getting a whole lot of signatures if you want to run an independent campaign or independent party. Now, I also will mention that he also, he spoke about the Republican Party, I believe, but not that much. But he mentioned how no, it wasn't him, Dr. David from California. Let me think of his name. He wrote a book, but he was also on Carl Nelson's show. And he spoke about campaign finance and how individuals are not able to mount a credible campaign. And he went back into the Jesse Jackson campaign. So my point of laying that out, Dr. Claude Anderson on call mentioned something about how he quoted Dr. Claude Anderson, and he said, "We gotta borrow or or rent some politicians and throw them back when we don't need them." Well, I just don't know if that's like a proper thing to put out there, that you renting a black politician and you're gonna give them back when you don't need them anymore. These, for the most part, many of these individuals are our community. So these are individuals that individuals need on some levels. I'm not one to get overly romanticized about the power potential, but I'll just give an example of how, if you're not going to organize politically, it can have some level of disenfranchisement, to your objectives. Now, you can, of course, organize and don't even, attempt to do anything like that. But I went to Detroit several years ago. There was what was called the Bring Back the Black rally. Dr. Claude Anson, James Klingman, Bob Law, I think Tom Pope was there, several individuals. I wanted to record that, but I'm gonna try to look that up. But I went there and I got the plan, the city's plan that they were trying to do for Detroit, like what was considered a black town several years ago. So they paid Dr. Claude Anderson to come in and create a study. Uh, and first, this initiative got passed 7-2, and then residents got hold word of it, and they organized. They organized, and it was able to get backed down, and defeated. I think it went something like 7-2, and then 5-4, or 4-5, something to that effect. I'm gonna look that up just to be clear, but I know it got defeated. Well, first it got defeated by the mayor of Detroit. Uh, what was his name? Kilpatrick, Kwame Kilpatrick, who's in prison serving a significant amount of years for all kind of you know criminal, insane type of boyish type of things. But he didn't feel the need to empower black people with his position at that particular time. Now, I just, last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we just had a memorial, a statue raising for Marion Barry. Marion Barry, for those who may not know, he got people like Bob Johnson, the founder of BT, the land. I believe it was just the land. I'm not sure about the money, but and I read about it in his book about the billion dollar bet. Um, but I did read about that. So black politicians have, particularly coming from a city like DC, and many people know about what was Harold Washington uh, up in Chicago, what he was attempting to do. And I've read about this in Fire in the Prairie. There's a book out called Fire in the Prairie. And even Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu talks about uh, in one of his books, in one of his many books, he talked about how the mayor there was attempting to, there was a $3 billion budget, and the city was two-thirds black and one-third white. And the whites were getting two-thirds of the money. So they were getting $2 billion to $1 billion. And Mayor Harold Washington came in and he was like, no, we're gonna, take this $1 billion and make that transition. So just imagine somebody come in saying that we're gonna take $1 billion out of your pocket. So that was the move. And I don't know, some people speculate what Harold Washington did or what happened with that, but so I'm just saying that moves potentially could have been made like that. Now, Marion Barry did things differently, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about that. But my point of that is that Kwame Kilpatrick single-handedly disenfranchised the black community in Detroit, and Dr. Claude was not empowered, to have people in processes to uh, to get with him, right? To make him do the right things for our community. So on some level, that shows the lack of progressiveness, for instance, about black wealth building and black wealth analysis from black politicians. But it also shows, for instance, that many of us individuals who are organizing in our business who can potentially leverage, various power dynamics through legislative processes have not positioned ourselves. Now, I come from, Baltimore, home of Perrin Mitchell, and Perrin Mitchell, for those who may not know, he did a lot of, big things for, 8A program, federal contracting. And, outside of Marion Barry, and maybe Jesse Jackson started doing some major things for some millionaires with corporate dollars. Pern Mitchell, you can look him up, was probably one of the biggest names, out there that did some big things, legislatively for federal contracting. So, with that being said, later, later, um, Pern Mitchell's son, C4, and several other individuals, they attempted to create, an independent black party in Baltimore. And I've mentioned that several times when he was on the radio, and that never materialized. And so C4 eventually kind of started sliding between Democrat and Republican. Um, and now he's on a radio station, in the Baltimore market that's, not black owned and, kind of just trying to survive. So with that being said, my point is that you cannot like just say, for instance, that we're going to rent politicians because we couldn't rent Kwame Kilpatrick, right? So that's the challenge. Now, another thing is perhaps it could have been more feasible. Now, I was listening to Dr. Boyce Watkins, and he said that Dr. Claude doesn't wish to, uh, he doesn't want to he don't want to be a landlord. He don't want to buy properties, in Detroit. And and I understood his thought processes that we needed, enterprises. So I did understand that, but You got to start somewhere. You got to start where you can. You got to accumulate this money and this power somehow. And I'm not saying that real estate is the only way to do that, but you could have positioned, some of your time and your capital to, buy up some blocks and rent them out and renovate them, give some people some housing, and then maybe turn them into commercial strips, and hell, just get people to, start just do it. I mean, sometimes you gotta go outside of their power structure to get things done. So my point, again, I don't know if renting a candidate would actually, that's going to go well with them knowing that this is how you think about them. So I know it sounds funny and entertaining, but you got to get serious about some things. And I know that people listen to individuals with specific alphabets behind their name, but I've been to the Congressional Black Caucus several years, uh, and attended workshops, mostly business, because I need to know what to do from a wealth perspective. But I do realize that one of the years, Ben Jealous, who's running for governor, he asked a question. Now, I was able to ask him a question. There's always discussion around economics or politics, and he really clearly defined that for me. He said that there's no necessary either or, you know, and this is probably one of the more clearest analysis that I've heard. And I just thought it would have been a blessing, for instance, if Ben Jealous, if they have ideological differences, would have been able to. I'm not saying that he hasn't read that work of Dr. Claude, but it would have been nice if he had read that work. But and he gave an example of some things that's happening in Atlanta or Georgia with gerrymandering. So that's why I thought that was interesting. So my next point is Dr. Umar Johnson, who just recently did a piece on the Congressional Black Caucus, where he was defending Minister Farrakhan, uh, and I don't know if he called them coons or something, but many people think they know what people stand for, and I honestly, have seen it. I've seen it. Many black politicians simply do not have a broad analysis, and this is why I've attempted to position, for instance, a Powernomics book in front of them over the years and give them the opportunity. And many of them, they too damn old and they too miseducated to really, uh, unlearn different types of behavior. But what I do believe that could have happened certainly is individuals could have uh, positioned their own candidates. Now, this is what I mean by Dr. Umar. So Farrakhan, called out the Congressional Black Caucus, but the question is, who's paying for their campaigns? Who's paying for them to get into office? That's the question, and if you know Farrakhan, who has a significant amount of capital, I'm not saying how much, but you know, you have influence, you can, finance some candidates, certainly in Chicago. Uh, you could have run some candidates, or at least contribute, so that they don't have to totally be controlled outside of our community. Now, also, Dr. Umar, he could have supported many candidates in Philadelphia. They just recently had a political race. I'm just wondering how much of that $700,000 that was raised was given towards, a campaign. Now, here's the thing. I know it's supposed to have been for something else, but is it possible that if you had a real conscious, delegate or senator, council person or a few people that you said, look, you can win this race. You can win this race with 40, $50,000. Matter of fact, some people, have won in some little districts with less than $20,000. You run a real tight campaign, and you get in there, and you control the council, right? With that money, could you possibly get some of the dollars, put into some of the schools, right? More. So, to just keep saying you want to build a school, I'm just saying, for one, you could have put it into campaigns, and next thing, you can buy real estate, you can buy property in places like Philadelphia. So I just want to mention those things, and of course, much of the conversation was surrounding the Jewish community controlling black politicians, and I believe that there's some authenticity to that. But when people start talking about politics, and they haven't put not a one red cent into a campaign, and even for instance in the state of Maryland, where this could be the first majority minority state, where the Black Congressional Maryland Legislative Black Caucus that I've gone, I've got Dr. George Frazier to speak. So they were progressive enough to have Dr. George Frazier speak there at my advocacy, at my lobbying. Uh, I was able to make that happen. So some consciousness is happening. Strategically, individuals are strategically positioned, and this is why it's unfortunate that many leaders, people referring to themselves as leaders, they're disconnected. And let me just close with Yvette Carnell, who's just like, she's against business. She just wants to run a progress, just talk on YouTube. And I've said it to her, posted things. I'm like, are you actually? I mean, like, are you supporting any local campaigns? Are you going to the any congressional Black Caucus and sending your people there to the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus? Uh, the whole week of training and things that's going on. So if you are not, like, lobbying, begins to create a lobbying entity, or if you're not supporting local candidates for office, or progressive candidates in strategic places around the country, and I mean, hell, just have people put feet on the ground, for certain campaigns, and that goes for the other ones. Like, what, I mean, do we have any rights to offer any just conversation? Just stick to business, psychology, and in the case of Miss Cornell, I mean, just yeah, about we don't have nothing, we don't know nothing, we can't do nothing. Elected officials need to do this, but you never go see them. You never go there and talk to them, have a conversation, why they do what they do, and then you're not supporting any Green Party candidates. So I'm just like, man, well, where do you truly stand? Like, what's the end game? Here. So here I am, man. I'm next week. I'm going to be meeting with a local delegate, in the 44th A district. I believe sincerely that things can be done for those that have a level of progressiveness and research. I've laid out some scholarly analysis. I do believe that there's a dual uh, plan that needs to be implemented, but I'm not sitting around waiting. I'll be at the Power Networking Conference at the Gaylord this year, and I think the Prince George's County delegation for assisting with that, the county executive, and the EDC for doing that. But But I got things I need to get done in Baltimore market with the District 44A. So progress is being made. So I say for those that desire to support certain progressive ideas and philosophy, we need to buy these houses up, of course, and we need to create other business strategies. We just had something with Myron Golden a few weeks ago, and many people didn't. I don't know. I mean, so I'm just like, man, some folk are just like addicted to drama and addicted to just miseducation and personalities instead of searching for the right information. So, but definitely, come to the Power Networking Conference at the Gaylord. I will have a table there, and I'm definitely available to speak in different capacities. So, progress is being made. Let me stop this one first. That's about to dial me. All right, so had to stop that. So progress is being made. Brothers and sisters, thank you all for tuning in. This is the Success Scholar, Haki Shakur Ami. I am out. I am out. Do click, like, share, and subscribe. Also, go to my um, in my Instagram. Should be confirmed shortly. Okay, okay. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Um, Go to my Instagram, Success Scholar, as well as Success Scholar One, because I'm the first success scholar. Is power moves are being made. Stay tuned in. Peace. I'm out.